Welcome back to my van build, or if you're new here, welcome to my van build. My eagle-eyed regular viewers might notice that there's been a bit of a change of colour. I've got all the cupboards painted grey, I've got all the walls done, in fact I've got all the painting done, other than a little bit at the back. The kitchen is all grey and looking good. That will be the reason I didn't get a vlog out last week, so I do apologise to the regulars, because I know some of you guys look forward to the vlogs, but I just didn't want to do another video on painting. Although it does look good, but it did take me all week. But it's done. We can move on now to the really exciting stuff, like making it come alive with electricity, water, and all the other bits and pieces, which I'm a little bit daunted about. Not the electrical side, but the heating and the plumbing and the gas, but we'll come to that later on. In this vlog, we're going to talk about electrics. I'll split this up probably over a few parts. Part one today, this vlog, will be doing the second fixing of the main living area in the van. So we'll get the high level sort of spotlights fitted, we'll get the undercovered LED strips fitted, we'll get the wall lights fitted, we'll get the sockets and the switches and all the other bits and pieces fitted. Now, I did create a sort of idiot's guide wiring diagram, which I'll put on Instagram. This is Rev 3 that you can see in front of you right now. We're going to be talking through this wiring diagram, and I'll talk through why I've used the equipment that I've specified, the cable sizes, the fuse sizes. I'll talk through it in some detail. So in this vlog, there'll probably be less of the, the big build or time lapses of the furniture going in, because all that exciting stuff is done, and we'll move on to sort of talking through carefully how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. Now, if anyone's got any comments or think what I'm doing is absolutely ridiculous or even really good or whatever, then please leave a comment and let me know what you think before I get too far with all this. We'll make a start. In this vlog, I said we'll do a second fix, and then the next vlog we'll probably do the mains and however it goes. We'll just see how it sort of pans out. So thanks again for tuning in. Let's make this baby come alive, shall we? So on the ceiling of the van, I've wired for 10 spotlights. There's 6 in the living sort of area, kitchen area, and I've wired for another 4 up in the above the bed. So the 4 in the bed will be switched separately compared to the 6 in the living area. Now, what I've wired this in is 2-core double insulated 0.75mm flex. This stuff here. So the reason I've done this is obviously it's flexible, it's really easy to use, and the actual drum is down here. Funnily enough, it's called 2192Y. It's actually just for doing like undercovered lights or double insulated lamps or anything like that. Now, I've used that because it's easy and it's nice and small. Now, that's good for about 7 or 8 amps, which is plenty. Now, what I'm putting in on the ceiling is these nice sort of brushed stainless spotlights. Now, I didn't want to recess them. I know a lot of people do recess them, but my concern with that is the van will be moving. I don't want them to keep popping out of the ceiling. So what I've got is these little bases. So I'm going to screw these nice little bases, obviously take the stickers off, to the ceiling. There we go, one here, like so. And then I'm gonna just clip the spotlight within. Now, these are household spotlights. They're not like full vans, but they're 12 volt LEDs, so they'll be fine. That's why they've got these little plugs on there, because they normally plug into a little sort of 240 volt to 12 volt driver. But I'll cut those off, and I shall use some bullet connectors. Now, normally I solder and heat shrink my joints, but on this occasion for these lights, I'm just gonna use bullet connectors, because if one of them fails or goes on, I can just unplug it. So it's nice to pull out the ceiling and unplug it. I know that my 10 spotlights are good for that cable, because these, as you can see on the back, are 3 watts at 12 volts. 10 of them, that's 30 watts. Divide that by 12 and you get 2.5 amps. That cable is good for about 7 or 8, 9 amps. So you can go online, you can type in the BS number, and it'll give you the resistance per meter table, and it'll actually just give you the current. Now, I've only got about 4 or 5 meters of cable, so if that makes sense to you, that's plenty. First of all, we'll get on with fitting these 10 on the ceiling, shall we? got the camera on selfie mode again, so everything's probably backwards. I can't afford a fancy mirrorless camera just yet, so this will have to do, which is why everything is backwards. So I do apologise. But anyway, back to the job in hand. What we're going to do now is fit these two wall lights above the bed. Now, this is what I got. Nice little Amazon jobby. I'll put a link in the description below where I got this from, so you can see. They're just going to be fed. There's no switch anywhere for them. There's just a permanent feed from the little fuse box that's going to go down in the electrical area in the garage. And then there's a little switch on the front of these. So if you're in bed, you can turn them on. Yeah, nice little reading lights, because obviously I'm going to do a lot of reading in here. How are we going to go about fitting these? So I think I could heat shrink them, solder them, heat shrink them. But I think what I'm going to do is actually do it the same as I did these lights. I actually did the last light because I ran out of the bullet connectors. So I think I'm just going to stick them in some not connector blocks. Some of the red through crimps, which I've got here somewhere. And then, yeah, job done. So let's get these fitted. Next job, while we're on van lighting, is to fit this LED strip light. So I've had these made up in the correct lengths by my local wholesalers. I gave them the measurements and made it up for me with the correct tail lengths. They're really handy. The company I use is called Beacon Lights, but I wasn't going to shout them out because they're not sponsoring me. I'm having to actually pay good money for this stuff. So remember that, Alan. If you haven't seen this before, it's just sticky back. So all you need to do is stick it where you want to stick it. Now I'm going to put it about 20-30mm back from this front lip of the cupboard, just so you can't see it. This is commercial grade, I think it's 3.6 watt per meter, IP65 rated, so you can have these almost in your bath. It's fully sealed. So really, really good stuff, and not that expensive for what it is. Right, we'll crack on with fitting this and see what it looks like, shall we? Can't wait. Show it on the video, but the supply to the wall lights, the bed wall lights, and the supply to these under cupboard lights, in a vlog ages ago, I actually ran the cables down to the garage area, like a common area. Somewhere along the line, I'm sure I must have drilled it or something's happened. It's really weird fault. It's like a clean cut on the cable. So I've had to mess around a bit and run some new cables. Luckily, I've managed to fish behind the cladding and run some new supplies in. So that's how I managed to get them on. They're obviously very, very temporarily on now. I've just rigged the switch wires straight onto the battery just for the purpose of the video and to test them, really, to make sure they look alright. And they do. It's really good. Switching all these lights, there's going to be two switches. There'll be one switch on here, which will be the sort of main switch, if you like, which will do all the lights. It will look like this. It won't be this one. It'll be 4 gang, which is on order. I should get that in the next couple of days. And then there'll be this switch, the 3 gang switch, on this side, so you can access the lighting from the bed. Now, here, there'll be the kitchen spots on one switch, the bed spots on another switch, the under cupboard lights on the 3rd switch, and then that big LED bar on the 4th switch, you know, nice and local. This one, the 3 switches, will do the kitchen lights, the bed lights, and then the cupboard lights. switch right on the end here, so it's nice, and I'll two-way it all, so we'll talk through that as I do it. So I'm going to get a dry liner box, or cut a dry liner box into here, and then stick the switch on the front, and then my heating controls and my battery monitor later on will go above it. So this will be sort of the control panel area, if you like. Now, I didn't put any of the wiring in the first place for any of this, because as you know, if you've been watching my vlogs, the layout of the van has changed so much. I didn't want to commit to a layout in the first, in the first fix stage. I thought, all right, I'll make sure I've got some routes to pull cables in later, which is what I've done, and it's worked really well. Right now, let's get on with cutting this switch in, both sides, and I'll probably get this one actually wired in. But yeah, it's going well. I'm not going to go any further with this until I've got the other switch, because it's a little bit pointless. I need to sort of bell the cores out between the switch, otherwise I'll be labelling and marking them, which is a little bit pointless at the moment. So yeah, I've got my 3-gang switch. I've only connected what's known as the strappers. So they are basically, so 2 core flex between L1 and L2, or sorry, what I've headed up is the brown on L1, the blue on L2 on this switch, and it will correspond with the switches the other side. I'll explain that in a bit more detail a bit later on. The other cores that haven't connected yet are what we're going to call the commons. Again, I'll describe it or talk about it later on. In here, what I've done is a big 4-inch hole, which you can see. I've ran a 7-core flex down to the sort of garage area, and I'll do like a lighting junction box a little bit later. Again, we'll talk through it later on. And in all these white cores, I didn't have enough 7-core flex, so I've just done it in 2-core flex. Basically, there's 4 of those. No, there's not. There's actually 5 of those, which gives me a total of 10 cores ran between each of the switch. So there's obviously one cut in there, which we just spoke about, and then there's another one cut in here. There's also more cables run in here, as I said before, for the heating controller and the battery monitor. So again, with this switch, there you go, you can see the 7-core. You can see the 7-core there. So the 7-core flex will carry the lot permanent lives from the little 12-way fuse board, which I'm going to put down in the garage area, and also carry the switch lives. As I mentioned in the previous vlog, that all of my switch lives are down to a common point in the garage area. There's the 7-core flex. There's all the 2-core flexes, which is the strappers and the commons from this switch to the other switch. Again, we'll talk about it in a bit. There's 2 240 sockets going in this van, because most things will be 12 volt. There'll be a few USB sockets, bits and pieces, which we'll come to in another vlog. So the first socket is going to go under the kitchen worktop just there, because I'm going to put one of those fancy pop-up sockets, which is basically a glorified extension lead. So I have a 13 amp plug on it, which I'll plug into my socket that I'm going to put under the worktop, and plug my fancy pop-up socket, which has some USB points on it as well. The other 240 socket is going to go up here on this shelf. Now I'm going to use that for plugging in laptops, or I don't know what else. I just think it's a handy spot because it's a shelf and it's out of the way. I'm trying to avoid using too much 240. I have also got a supply up here for 240, but I'm not going to use that. So what I'm going to do is actually stick that in a maintenance-free junction box, so I haven't ever got to touch it again. Now, if I ever need it later on, then I'll put a socket on. Now, I've probably mistakenly actually wired the 240 sockets in twin and earth, like it's your standard household 2.5 twin and earth cabling. I can't see an issue with it, if I'm honest. It's routed correctly. There's obviously issues with it shorting out of the van, but it'll all be earthed back in the garage area. The whole van will be earthed, so I don't think it's an issue. So I'm going to quickly bang those on, and then I'll chat through once I'm done. Cool. you're ever doing one of these sockets in your van or in your house or anywhere, I mean, like I said before, twin and earth's not the best thing to be using for the van, but it's fine. I'm happy wherever we did it, so I'll get away with it. So when you're doing these, you want to be shipping about a thumbnail's width. So there you go, mine got big thumbnails, so roughly a thumbnail's width. Shop back. These are great, by the way, for this, so it probably makes it look a little bit too easy. Always sleeve the earth. There's a lot of dodgy people out there that don't. And then double over. You'll see why in a second. Why we're always double over. Even if they're in pairs, like your ring circuit where you have two twin and earths in the back of one socket, you always want to be doubling them over. Now the reason for that is because you want to be filling about 70% of these terminals. Now these terminals are designed for two twin and earths. Now, so one's a little bit small really, but even if you get two twin and earths in there, that will generally fill it about 75–80%. So where you can see the terminals, obviously brown's live, blue's neutral, green, yellow is earth. You want to be doubling it over because it fills as much as the terminal can. And remember, copper is quite a soft metal, so it will compress. So if you don't double it over, you risk digging into the cable, and eventually you risk breaking the cable, digging into it, or it coming loose. And that's the last thing you want with any electrical connection, is it coming loose. So make sure it's tight, don't overdo it. So live, neutral and earth. Always do the pull test, lovely and tight. And what I always want to do is push it back first all the way, and then pull it out again, make sure nothing's come loose. It's lovely and tight, that one. I'm happy. And then screw it back. And voila, we have a nice, safe 13 amp socket. Cool. I've just got off the phone to the wholesalers, and they've let me know that this switch isn't going to be in until early part of next week. So I will include the switching, or finish the switching, in next week's vlog. Based on that, I think I'm going to finish this video here, because I think we've covered loads. Probably too much for one video. If I'm honest, probably could have broken it up a little bit. But we've done really well. We've got loads done, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Next week's vlog, as well as finishing the switching, we will get on with the USB points. So I'm going to have a couple of those dotted about, and we'll make a bloody good start with the mains, the batteries, the inverter, the solar charger, and the mains hookup, as well as loads of other bits and pieces. So we'll see how that goes. I can hear thunder now. It's been beautiful sunshine, so it's probably a good time to stop. If you've liked what you see, if you've enjoyed watching my videos, then I get this video out. I try and get a video out each week. So please hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. So thanks again for watching. See you in the next one.